Look at the beautiful star. It reminds me of you, darling.
Daddy, that's not a star, it's a bird.
Well, if it is a star, it is a bright one. And if combined with another star, it could be even brighter.
Oh yes, and make many more stars, more descendants of Abraham. Mother, I know how you think. When you mention a possibility for the millionth time, you think it will come true.
I'm just hoping suitor number 15 can make his way by today.
Mother, it's not fair. John is your friend. He is simply dazzled by the idea that grandfather was the first vice president of Texas.
He is a widower, and he has money. An emphatic no would be okay.
I've given him an emphatic no.
I think somebody's here. Oh, Mr. Williams, why don't you come on up?
And is my favorite family all accounted for this afternoon?
Mary is painting inside, I'm here only in spirit.
Adina, Mr. Williams told me yesterday that he wrote a poem.
I'm afraid my mind is a little too distracted to follow Mr. Williams' fine verses this evening.
You have such ill humor today.
Don't let me abuse my will. Perhaps I could come back some other time.
You will do that. Mr. Williams, a businessman like you, we're just so grateful to have you beautify our thoughts. And we're extremely excited to hear your poem tomorrow. And as for Adina, well, she will give you her honest opinion.
Adina, the joys of consecrated life are great.
I do feel consecrated, Sister Flavine.
Without taking the vow of the Holy Order?
Sister Flavine, my father is dying. The road of my grandfather Lorenzo is dying. I have a debt to repay to the whole tradition that has made my life possible.
God made your life possible.
I know.
You are a great teacher. The children love you, the church needs you, and if you just consecrate yourself, then you'll be able to.
Sister Flavine, you're overwhelming me. I cannot say no, but neither can I say yes.
Oh, help me bear the truth with unselfish love. Oh, moderate drinker, why do you shorten life? Why do you transmit the alcoholic tin to your offspring? Why do you pollute the helpless babe, profaning motherhood, casting off that pearl of self-control, disdaining the one who wants only one day to rise up and call you blessed?
John, you are such an incredible poet and an amazing friend.
Thank you, Mr. Alamo.
I think you're the type of man that a woman can trust her whole life and soul with. Adina, what do you think?
I think, Mr. Williams, there is a false melodrama, perhaps some poison sentimentality. Didn't Jesus, Paul, and our blessed popes all use wine?
Adina, you are so critical of others. What about your own desire for coffee? Mr. Williams is in the spirit of the laws for temperance and perfection that is sweeping the nation. You can't always try to preserve the past. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord be with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed be the fruits of your womb, Jesus, Holy Mother, Mother of God. Be with us sinners at the hour of our death. I can't do this. I can't do this. This reminds me too much of my two sons.
Adina.
He wants Adina. Augustine, why do you want Adina? Just tell me what you have to tell her. I think I know why Adina is in Austin. It's because of a conversation these two had. Augustine, I'm here. And Adina's here in spirit. The Lord be with you.
Why are you encouraging Mr. Williams like this? That is so wrong what you said last night.
You know, you once described the twin sisters, the two cannons from Cincinnati, used in the Battle of San Jacinto, as handsome. Yet, you never described the men who court you as handsome.
Mary, I think the difference between you and I is that you spend more time thinking about men, whereas I spend more time thinking about, well, what should be most glorious.
Well, Adina, the only problem is, I don't think you can marry what's most glorious.
Mary, I have to tell you something I have not shared with anyone.
Is it something about our family land?
Mary, I have made a firm resolve. A virgin have always been, and shall remain forever. No earthly love shall come between my God and I. No, never.
Sister, why are you creating your own jail? Does Mom know about this?
No, not yet. I know she's terribly worried about finances, and even regards my latest friend John as the answer to all her prayers.
Are you joining the convent?
I joined this organization back in 1889 with Adina. We've always been proud Texans. Since we started in the state chapter, certain secretaries in Houston have been handpicking me to death. They want me to prove that my grandfather was an early citizen of the Lone Star Republic. And the truth is that he was in Nacogdoches, and they kicked him off his land.
Miss Goodaway, the state organization does not oppose you women from being patriotic. But it's in the name the Daughters of the Republic of Texas that y'all are descendants from the original Lone Star Texans.
But Carrie, they accepted his sin and they accepted our dues, and now they want to tighten the requirements?
Wanting proof is not a wanton project, at least not in my books.
It is when you're Spanish.
There must be records.
I'm telling you that they were illegally kicked off to their land in Nacogdoches.
Women, let's pause a little bit here. It's my fault. We started before the DRT, and I should have been more careful when we decided to join our state association.
Look here, Adina, it looks like you got a letter from Oran Rivers.
That's Oral Roberts, our Texas governor. He is answering my request.
Here, read it.
Dear Mrs. Zavala, I regret the long lapse it has taken me to answer your letters. I am at the age where time is more precious than gold. Also, it was heartening to meet you formally at the first meeting of the Texas State Historical Association in Austin this past February. Thank God for the 2 lanterns allowed us to see. My regards to you for your attendance at that meeting. My congratulations to you for your support of that foremost patriotic upholder of liberty, the Daughters of the Confederate States of America. God bless the memory of your father, Augustine. He fought for that noble cause. I also am a great admirer of your grandfather, Lorenzo de Zavala. His generation also risked their lives against a tyrant to assure the blessings of freedom. As for your family's land claims, there was a law in the Mirabeau Lamar years that revoked the payment you have in mind. I'm sorry to tell you this, but I must advise such a charming young lady as yourself that you would do best to contemplate your future family rather than your past one. Certainly, there must be a very eligible suitor for you. If you will allow me the certain rights to trespass on your patience, I vow to remain forever your most dutiful servant, Oran Milo Roberts. I was even born and lived my early years next to the great battlefield of San Jacinto, where the dictator Santa Anna was defeated by Sam Houston and many of our ancestors. My father's recent will shows that we might even have land there. Yes, it was San Jacinto that achieved the independence of Texas. But sisters, it is the Alamo here in San Antonio that we must truly sanctify. We will teach future generations to glorify this defeat. We will glorify self-sacrifice.
Adina, dear, are we still living in Texas? It was the Alamo's 50th birthday and no one did anything to celebrate. I'm hearing some very strange things. Miss Zavala wants to purchase the Long Barracks not to demolish it, but to celebrate it for its defeat. My God, Miss Zavala. Are we to buy a whole series of crumbling Spanish buildings just to put crucifixes all on the inside? Why don't we paint all the inside of these buildings blood red? Or let's go the full way and make it all Mexican Day of the Dead, with crucifixes, with Spanish sugar skulls, and pagan altars.
I'd like to thank you all for letting me speak. Thank you, Mrs. Kemp, for your, let's call it honesty. I don't know if it can be done, but I agree with Adina wholeheartedly. The Alamo stands for a magnificent spirit of sacrifice and freedom. My Spanish ancestors sacrificed their homes in the Texas Revolution. Before that, it was a child here and a child there, their valuables, their livestock, all to live in the frontier. And before that, It was every single last coin that they had in order to get that chapel and long barrack built. I, for one, vow to help Adina secure the long barrack and the former convent, the place where the Alamo's brave defenders actually died. Our sacrifice will be but a routine chore compared to those of our ancestors. We need a great Alamo memorial composed of both the barrack and the chapel.
And Jenny, can I ask you to tell us all what you think? Thank you, Ms. Kemp, Ms. Goodway. I do know that my husband is not a very sentimental person, but as a San Antonio businessman, he is interested in the goals that Adina has discussed. And as you know, he has contributed a good deal to our general fund. Excuse me, ladies, I don't like to speak. I can see that it is very important that I do. We may all interpret the Alamo differently, but we should do everything to make this place great and glorious. This is our city. Let us pass on what is most important to our children.
Adina, I do appreciate the meticulous research you have done in regards to the Zavala claims.
Does it help you think?
Well, any country that's gone through 5 governments in 50 years is going to be indecisive. Any democratic country facing thousands of land claims due to ill-educated landsteaders with guns, well, it's going to have a lot of decision. It's the same old thing. Texans hate their past, especially the great Spanish past. But once they get rid of their recent past, they want to get rid of their distant past. And they'll end up with what they deserve, anarchy.
Well, thanks for the lecture, Mr. New Yorker. But what does that mean for my family?
Your family? Am I not your uncle?
Henry, you know very well you want to have uncle or something like that.
Look, you're asking for my help. Why do you continue to regard my mother as a common prostitute? My dearest young bride Loretta, I earnestly hope my trip here to San Antonio is worth it. My father's accident late in life to have me out of the wedlock has led me to other mishaps. It seems he paid for my education so I could sort out his unusual dealings. My cousin Adina thinks she has a lot of land coming to her. She might, but we could actually qualify for much of it. Even if we don't win it, my bill for these services probably will vex her. Yes, I would like to leave this forlorn place, but there must have been something more for Texas second vice president. And how illegitimate I might have been, I am the male heir who most deserves it.
Yes?
Mr. Schmelter, yes, a good business needs a modern building. Can you promise me that when you sell, that you will allow the daughters of the Republic of Texas the first right to buy?
Fine, young lady. Are you aware of the times and how much a building costs in downtown San Antonio these days?
Well,
I must hate to educate you ethereal maidens in the face of the world.
What have done? The leading ladies of our organization
We are
already
talking
city.
about no less than $70,000. And you say that your leading ladies are married to leading men? Who are you married to?
I've chosen not to be married, but I am the granddaughter of Texas' first vice president, Zavala.
I didn't realize that we had a Mexican vice president.
Yes, there were several men of Spanish blood who fought under Sam Houston.
And where do you live?
That is up in the air right now. My grandfather's sizable handwriting and possessions are still in the picture.
Look, why don't you just decorate? The state has a chapel. Why do you want to preserve my venerable building?
Your building, the former long barrack, the former convent of San Antonio de Valero, was where William Travis and the others actually died defending our freedom.
Pardon me for my pernicious vice here, but I still don't understand why you want my ancient building. Just decorate a chapel.
You want space to cherish the sacrifice, Mr. Schmelter. You too, in the spirit of that sacrifice, could help us out a little more.
Don't expect me to be the super patriot when you can't even get the state's patriots to pony up some money. But I can, I believe, still sign it with a limited time frame.
Oh, that was sharp, Mr. Schmelter. Thank you. Now here's the contract.
Oh, blank spaces for the price, payment options, very professional. I shall take it home and study it. If it bears out our understanding, I shall sign it.
Thank you, Mr. Schmelter. Now here's a plan which we have embossed and put in a frame that you might take pride in this very attractive patriotism. Dear Miss Driscoll, Daughters of the Republic of Texas refer to you as an outstanding Texas patriot. No wonder. Your direct ancestors, whose spirit lives in you yet, demonstrated a sublime rank of legendary courage. We, the members of the San Antonio chapter of the Daughters of the Texas Revolution, have resolved to sanctify the Alamo. But the enclosed photographs show our predicament. The Schmelter grocery is overwhelming this sacred site. We therefore must buy when the grocer Hugo Schmelter sells. The store has a gaudy superstructure and sign over the long barrack. This robs the scenic chapel of its beauty and value. Miss Driscoll, we beg you, help us acquire the Schmelter building. Our chapter has raised $20,000. I will stake my presidency to empty that entire purse at the project. If you can help us, we will work unremittingly to reimburse you. Surely the state or someone will grasp what has become a patriotic necessity.
Dear Miss Zavala, I received your letter after making stops at the Roman Porta Nigra in Trier and the Medici Palace in Florence. Your goal to visually dramatize the Alamo is a noble desire. Now, I cannot be frivolous with my family's estate. The spirit of commercial avarice too often corrupts the intentions of charity. Nor am I convinced that the Schmelter Long Barrack deserves preservation. The stone chapel definitely needs to be set apart. I might suggest a larger park around the chapel with rare flowers and fruit trees, providing blossoms that would commemorate the lives of Texas patriots through the months of the calendar and in the years to come.
Dina, amazing to run into you here, and in front of our favorite site, too.
John, imagine seeing you here.
I was just thinking how pleasant it would be to...
Oh, sorry. I've been waiting for Miss Driscoll. I believe I can see her now. See you later, John. I see you. Thank you, lady here. Miss Driscoll, I presume?
Yes, Miss Zavala. How nice to meet you here. There seem to be no benches. Still so unlike Paris.
Don't worry, I brought some lemonade and a blanket for us.
Wonderful.
I've heard such great things about you.
Thank you. I appreciate your letters and sense of public spirit.
I've heard that you're a writer and you have been to every country in Europe.
Well, I have been duly favored by my father, Robert. He's one of the richest men in Texas. We're from Corpus Christi. Both my grandfathers fought with Sam Houston in the Battle of San Jacinto, and my fiance, Henry Sevier, is on the Texas legislature.
I feel like I'm about to faint with joy. You, Miss Driscoll, are the answer to my most fervent prayer.
What do you mean?
I mean that if my life can serve to preserve this cradle of sacrifice, that is, the twin buildings of the Alamo, the chapel, and the long barrack, it will be well spent. You, Miss Driscoll, have the patriotism and the assets to close the Schmelter buyout. Believe me, I will labor for the rest of my life to make sure you are paid back in full.
What made you come to this resolution?
Miss Driscoll, love as sacrifice is the highest good. It is what our Savior did. It is what our forefathers at the Alamo did. That is nothing less than a shrine of a most noble virtue.
Yes, I only wish we knew more of its history. For example, what did the non-combatant women, such as Juana Milton, the lady with the umbrella as she's known, and Julia Maria, pardon me, what did they think?
We only get Susanna Dickinson's say on it.
I've always wondered about Victoriana de Salinas and her three daughters. Someone must have her toes. Have a theory that she is from the same family who contributed liberally to the Alamo.
My, I am impressed.
And I'm so impressed with you, Miss Driscoll. I hear that you're a writer, working on the story of the Alamo just as I am. In fact, I know your mother's name is Julia, and so is mine. And you're a Roman Catholic, and I am too.
Governor Lanham, if I may ask, I know you came to Texas after the Civil War. Did you first settle in Weatherford near Fort Worth?
Well, when I first came to Texas, a young buck about 40 years ago, I had just married Sarah. She was pretty as a peach. 19 of us, mind you, made the move from South Carolina on old farmers' wagons. For 2 years, I tended to the switch in Espella, in a schoolhouse near Clarksville, Texas, in Red River County. Whew, those scholars will ruffle your feathers. Then we moved to Weatherford, where I studied law and first entered politics.
You know, Miss Zavala here has also taught school in Terrell near Dallas.
Oh, well, that reminds me of another story.
Governor, the real point in this meeting is, can the state reimburse us? My fiance has assured me that the state representative Sam Eli Johnson will spearhead a bill to cover the costs. We are about to purchase something that the state desperately needs. And while we have the $85,000 to cover the cost, that's a lot of money. What do you think?
The shadows of the few of us who yet remain are lengthening in the sunset of our days. But from the promontory in which I view my experience, I'm so touched and impressed by you, Miss Driscoll. And you too, Miss Zavala. As stars of the Confederacy, you have worked to ensure that the torch of liberty continues to shine. The exceptions you both have of your own particular family's patriotic lineage here in Texas is vast. It resembles the sublime awareness known to the family of Cato in Roman times, or the Davidic dynasty in Jerusalem. At the same time, the knowledge that you two ladies have of the Alamo exceeds, I'm convinced, that of the entire male race. Miss Driscoll, on behalf of the state of Texas, I wish to heartily assure you, and you too, Adina, that if you can for the time being purchase the land around the Alamo Chapel with the intention of saving it for the edification of future generations of Texans, I will make 2 promises. The first is I will work to ensure that the state reimburse you ladies $6,000 to $5,000 for this impressive act. The second is that I will support the motion that the organization you lead, the Daughters of the Republic of Texas, will have exclusive rights to administer the site.
Well, thank you, Governor Lanham. We appreciate your golden promises and kindest regards.
You're welcome.
I do note, however, that there is a $20,000 difference between what we're about to pay and what you're promising to give us back. That doesn't include the $7,500 option fee that I have absorbed and will gladly absorb for the sake of Texas. This is something that the state desperately needs, and both my husband and Mr. Johnson have assured me that the state has the $85,000 needed to cover the acquisition.
Well, this is true, Miss Driscoll, and I'm glad you brought it up. And in life, we sometimes must labor with the truth. I've learned that our soundest discretion and patriotic judgment as public servants must be brought into requisition. We cannot expect the poor farmers of Texas to comprehend the bombastic price codes of our cities. I'm afraid to say that even the figure of $65,000 sounds alien to the ears of most. Even this figure is a brave offer, and only due to unexpected savings. So now, Miss Driscoll, is this agreeable?
Yes, Governor, we do.
I'm delighted to hear that, Miss Driscoll. As a representative of Texans everywhere, I thank you for your abiding patriotism. This agreement, I'm sure, will send to people's minds the spirit of sacrifice which you have so nobly executed.
Governor Lanham, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you, and I pray to God for your abiding welfare and good fortune.
Oh, and it's so good to meet the granddaughter of Texas' first vice president. Thank you and your San Antonio group for your financial contribution and your willingness to administer the site.
That old man is such a coward.
Oh, Clara, I know what you mean. I just saw my organization's cash reserves vanish. And we will definitely strain to keep our promise to split the difference with you on the extra cost. But I can hardly constrain the song in my heart. Alamo is ours to rear and treasure. Of course, without your resources and influence, this wondrous day, this magnificent meeting could never have occurred.
The state of Texas has always revered the great side of the Alamo. But in this new century, our veneration impels us to beautify this fabled ground. The new bill passed by the legislature, with my full support, reaffirms our commitment. We have promised to reimburse our patriotic benefactor, Miss Claire Driscoll, and the Daughters of the Republic of Texas, $6,000 to $5,000 for buying the land adjacent to the Alamo. All should know that the state rarely could have paid the $92,500 it actually cost to secure the site. We have spent much, but we have saved much. We mean always to conduct the affairs of our state in an economical manner. Finally, the bill entrusts the beauty of this great state to our state's greatest managers of beauty, our fair woman. The Daughters of the Republic of Texas, of which our benefactor, Miss Claire Driscoll, is a member of, will exercise custodial rights.
Could we clarify this, Governor? Are we saying the state of Texas is entrusting the Alamo to a single group of ladies for generations to come?
Gentlemen, if I had not been convinced by the astounding knowledge, patriotism, and resources of these women, I never would have supported the bill.
Governor, I've heard it said that the state has already invested in the San Jacinto battlefield, and it was there that the 50th anniversary of a great Texas Revolution was to be celebrated. Are we switching priorities as a state? Why this sudden infatuation with the Alamo?
Texans espouse liberty as no other people on this earth. We constantly renew our acquaintanceship with this ideal. Both the battles of the Alamo and San Jacinto commemorate our sacred passion.
One final comment, Governor. Some Confederate veteran groups object to such expenditures by the state to commemorate the minor defeats suffered at the Alamo.
The Alamo was a token of greater glory. When we sow with blood for liberty, the harvest is always great. The Alamo was the most important offering that taught us these truths for the wars to come. Even defeats on behalf of liberty established later advantages.
Clara, you have done more for the state of Texas than anyone else in our history.
Thank you, Cornelia. I have gotten a lot of grief about this.
The only problem is, okay, so we now administer the site. That's wonderful, but the only group in place to do this now is, you know, the San Antonio chapter of the Daughters of the Republic of Texas is very different. They had that long-winded savant, and all her scribbling's just making me so, well, you know that day Zavala, whatever her name is.
Well, Cornelia, frankly, you shouldn't blame me. I made it possible to buy the land around the Alamo by absorbing the option costs. That land will make it a wonderful site, but that'll also give you Houston women a lot of competition for state priorities.
No, Clara, you're fabulous. All the Houston ladies just laud over your benefactions. They don't mind looking after the San Jacinto project while you give other projects to ladies elsewhere.
Well, what's the problem then?
I think what we all resent is the propaganda that we've been hearing. The leader of the San Antonio chapter is trying to bring women in whose ancestry might have been on the other side into our organization. How are we supposed to honor our ancestors when we have a leader in our midst? And plus she wants to talk about all this Spanish mission history and San Antonio stuff. I mean, all it is just Franciscan missions, old bells, and what a priest did or didn't do. I mean, San Antonio chapter just seems on the verge of just celebrating Spanish culture and just forgetting completely about the defeat of our ancestors.
I don't know if you're quite right about that, Cornelia, but Miss Zavala is quite a character. What's the most interesting thing about her is her apparent fascination with death. She constantly talks about, like you said, old Spanish stuff and just bloody things. She also pesters me with letters about our shared Catholicism. She tries to get me to do things by forcing religion on me.
What is she trying to make you do?
She wants me to reserve the long barrack after the entire Schmelzer break-a-brack is destroyed, and after all that I've done to help this wonderful site.
Why does she want you to preserve that disgusting building?
It's something about how the real blood of the Alamo was shed there. Really, I think it's her only bow at this moment. You know, she's pledged to stay undefiled. I think she also wants to use this site to convert people to Catholicism.
Exactly what are we going to do? She's taking over the project you sacrificed so much for.
Well, I can't stay in San Antonio and administer the site, but I do have an idea.
Oh, Claire, you're so naughty for taking me on this trip, but I kind of like it. I can't wait to see the train.
The sleeping car, Florence. The sleeping car is a great invention for modern women.
How so?
Well, when a woman has to travel by day, she has to deal with a lot of condescending train talk, you know. But with a sleeping car, she avoids all that. Just lock your compartment, wake up in a new city, explore, shop, and her own.
What would your fiance say if he... I think we're attracting attention.
Well, if it isn't amazing to see our fine Texas women here in Cincinnati.
Yes, you're the governor's assistant. How nice to see you again.
Chester McCoy is my name. Miss Driscoll. And
Florence Eager, San Antonio, thank you.
say, if you're here in Cincinnati alone, why don't I take this opportunity to escort y'all around town?
That will not be necessary, though you are wonderful gentlemen to suggest this.
Well, I wouldn't want the two most illustrious ladies of Texas to be barraged by some drummer or drunk. You never know what might happen in such a godless northern city.
Sir, your gallantry is wonderful, but we are in no need of such service.
Yes, it really is unnecessary.
Well, you know, I mean, I don't find it at all a waste of time for this opportunity.
Thank you, kind sir. Your kindness shows, but it's not wanted. Oh, Clara, I just loved the look on your face when our own Texas gal came over.
Oh my goodness.
But I promise I won't tell anyone.
Oh, can you believe that we can't escape the South even in Cincinnati?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my. Hey, but Florence, Florence, stop laughing. I have a serious question for you.
Go ahead.
So, you know your grandfather's presence in San Antonio before 1846 makes you a very eligible member for the group that I set up to administer the Alamo.
Oh, the Daughters of the...
Yes, the Daughters of the Republic of Texas.
Yes.
Well, I was wanting you to become a member of the DRT and to set up your own new San Antonio chapter. I know that there are plenty of young women who would be eligible and would love to help you, but mostly I'd like to give you and your group the honor of administering the Alamo.
Oh, Clara, this is such an honor, but I'm not sure how many women would serve. You know, with all the household duties, the Shakespeare Club, the WCTU, and the musicale, I'm just not sure how many women would want to participate.
You don't have to worry about that. I'll send all the funds to pay a coordinator to do that work. And I do know for a fact that there are plenty of women who would be willing to help.
Oh, Clara, if you're behind something, then I know it will succeed. Count me in.
And now I would like to introduce someone who I know all of you love just as much as I do, our savior of the Alamo, Clara Driscoll.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Thank you so much for your support and that of Governor Lanham as we consider new ways to properly dedicate the Alamo. I know that my concerns for beauty and patriotism are shared throughout the state, and therefore let me be bold. I propose that we tear out the long barrack, that hideous, disgusting rat-infested structure purchased from the grocer through the smelter. This will give us the opportunity to offset the beautiful chapel with a beautiful park. I am envisioning a place of tranquil beauty filled with swaying palms and tropical verdure. And a new structure as well. Spanish design and arched walkway draped with ivy. Something just as venerable as the nearby Alamo.
I, for one, could never allow the long barrack to be torn down. It, after all, was baptized by the blood of our heroic ancestors.
Ladies, please do not get out of order. The chair will recognize those who wish to speak. Now, I see Cornelia's hand raised.
Thank you, Miss Jones, Madam Chairman. I, for one, am excited to be here. Did you all know Miss Jones is the president of Texas's last, the wife of Texas's last president, Anson Jones? I think we should all give her a round of applause. Now, I would like to speak of the matter at hand. We are all so beholden to you, Miss Driscoll, for your act of patriotism in diverting your own personal resources for this project. It is such an exciting act of charity that our organization has never experienced before. So, with that said, I must express my fondest wishes that we go ahead with your plan.
Ladies, that does it with the old business. Now to our new business. We have an exciting new development, and I would like Ms. Florence to explain.
I would like to announce the formation of a new chapter, the DRT Mission Chapter of San Antonio. We met just but 2 weeks ago, but we represent 15 patriotic ladies, eager, with Miss Driscoll's blessing for a new site of the Alamo.
This is wonderful news.
Such ladies should be commended.
Wait, why wasn't our San Antonio chapter informed of this development? This is outrageous.
This is outrageous. Is this true? Is this what you wanted?
Well, of course, Adina. Why would I enable the DRT with the idea that you'd be doing all the work yourself? My friend Florence and her group and I have figured out all the details.
I think you may have forgotten the fact, however, that the mayor of San Antonio has already given me the keys, and we have already begun to administer this site.
Besides, we the women of the De Zavala chapter already raised money for this privilege. Miss Driscoll, we certainly acknowledge that the land around the smelter project could not have been purchased without you. But it is to my understanding that our chapter spent over $10,000 for this project. We helped secure that purchase too.
Now listen, this is not something that we need to be discussing at this tone.
Except it kind of is. It's that big of a deal.
It's not
$10,000 is a lot of money.
How did Adina De Zavala get control over the keys?
No matter, Clara. Mary Jones has assured me. Constitutionally, the Executive Committee has complete control over all state DRT projects. That is, as long as nothing comes about the plenary meetings. And since our last one yielded nothing but chaos, everything shall go through the Executive Committee. Mary Jones has assured me whatever you want to do, that's what we shall do. But what would we like to do?
We need to take control. Actually, ladies, if you agree to this, this will be no problem. All we have to do is hire a locksmith, change the locks, and voila! Florence and her group gain the new keys and complete control.
Oh, Clara, this is perfect!
Mary Jones has assured me, whatever you want to do, Claire, Florence, that is what should be done.
What on earth are you doing?
Changing the locks, ma'am, as I've been paid to do.
You are what? This is a blatant act of robbery, of theft. I'm Adina Zavala of the Daughters of the Republic of Texas. In 1905, Governor Lanham assigned the duties of administering this site to our group. You can deal with the felony charge that will result from your brazen attack on state property.
Look, I've been paid to do this, and I was told to ignore your protests.
Well, did they show you this? Your action is not only going to earn you a felony as well as assault and battery charges. This site used to be the convent of the mission of San Antonio de Valero. You, sir, will have your soul doubly damned to hell if you proceed to burglarize this sacred structure.
Look, I've been ordered to do this.
You will do this over my dead body. Have you no respect for maiden either? Will you pilfer from the state, steal from God?
Look, I'm done with this. I'll never do this job.
It's clear the ladies of our esteemed executive committee are going to find some way to occupy the Alamo and pillage it.
The sound of their cannon is unmistakable.
Why does Clara Driscoll remind me of Santa Ana?
Is it because she drinks Bloody Marys? I've heard she does anyway. She raises that flag for Prohibition and then drinks it up with her girlfriends on the weekend.
What I worry about now is that she will come in and seize all the Alamo artifacts. Driscoll will then deem them ugly because that is her criterion. And then she will sell them off and replace them with her dismal collection of watercolors.
I know. Where is Carrie Kemp anyways? I think Jenny said she saw her at the Maitner concert the other night. You know what, Adina? That Clairol and Florence Eager girl are up to something.
Why does this remind me of Louis Moses Rose, the man who candidly admitted that he deserted the Alamo? Oh, my feet, they are acting up again. I must sit down.
Adina, are you alright?
You and Jenny are such good friends, and even my sister is waiting to go this far.
Well, anybody that's been at the meetings and heard that Clara Driscoll badmouth the convent, call it hideous. I mean, anybody can see that she just hates the Spanish past and wants to destroy anything she thinks is ugly.
Jenny, I'm so sorry for making you do this hard work. A written history, though sufficient to keep one well and profitably employed for the years, it's not the history which so fascinates people, I believe. It is the unwritten that strongly appeals these beautiful objects of the Texas past, which you women are preserving. One hears a whisper from every object, every stone of our old ruins, landmarks, and spots famed for historic deeds. It calls to us from every relic of the past, though we do not always understand its meaning.
I mean, make that almost never. What even is this?
Jenny, even a child would ask that question. The answer is not as important as the feeling we so often dismiss. I am convinced that if children can just touch the objects used by noble people, they will in time be inspired by their high ideals.
I just wish we even knew if this was a good idea.
Hello, operator. This is New York City. Please give me the residence of Cornelia Ranchstone.
Hello?
Cornelia, this is Clara Driscoll.
Oh, Clara, this is the first time I've ever received a call from New York. So good to hear from you.
Cornelia, I have heard through Carrie Kemp that the artifacts of the Alamo have been robbed. I think it might be the chance that we need to take legal action.
This is outrageous. I always suspected that Adina and her clan were just... But I never expected them to be thieves.
Well, I can't do anything about it from here. I'm in New York City.
I will get the executive committee on this. We will get a court injunction. We will have to take her to court if we have to, but we will get those relics back.
Can you do this for me?
Don't you lose a wink of sleep over this. We will get this all straightened out. You will have your artifacts back. I will make sure the courts work as fast as possible.
I'm here to serve a court-ordered mandatory injunction for one Adina de Zavala for stealing state-owned artifacts from the Alamo Chapel and Barrack.
And who are you, miss, if I may ask?
I am Adina de Zavala, granddaughter of Lorenzo de Zavala, and president of the San Antonio chapter of the Daughters of the Republic of Texas. 1905, we were recorded by Governor Lanham in the Texas legislature the right.
We don't want to hear your spiel.
You are not getting the relics.
In that case, you'll go to jail right now. You will get those relics, even if it takes months. While you sit next to a bunch of crazy invalids in prison.
So you want to deprive future Texans of the story that made them free? Come along then. Here they are and given to the rich ladies who are good at buying justice.
Hold your horses.
Miss, you know what I think. For now, we don't have a warrant for your arrest, so if these are all of them, then you're out of trouble. But there is one more thing. The key to the Alamo chapel.
I'm just glad that you're okay, Adina. Sometimes it's just better to say goodbye to some things.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks for caring about me. It's just that when I see the long barrack, it's like, I know it's funny, but it's like I'm looking at myself in the mirror. It's me, my people, my traditions. You know, that was good in the soul of my grandfather Lorenzo.
Right. But do you think you'll have a police record because of all this?
I'm sure I will. But at least Clara Driscoll and the company didn't sick the police off on me personally.
I know, it's that kind of narrow Texas patriotism that it's just, they hate all things old and unfashionable, Spanish and God forbid even Mexican.
Like, what I just don't understand is why, like, they just ignore the $10,000 that we not only raised but contributed to the Alamo project.
We have asked people to contribute. We have promised to look after that investment. But the law has decided that we have to break our promises.
I frankly did not put up the funds for the Schmelzer grocery deal, thinking that we would have a legal battle on our hands just to raise that rat-infested warehouse. Oh, you have done so much for us. Such ingratitude on that Days of Zavala chapter caused even my old blood to boil.
That Zavala woman is nothing but a tipsy coffee addict. I heard rumor that she's even a Roman Catholic nun in disguise. No, I wouldn't put it past her if I heard her spring at us like some hellcat with its claws extended. There must be some way to drum her and her whole chapter out of the DRT before they just ruin everything at our next state meeting.
Oh, our group's constitution isn't quite ready for this kind of challenge, but we are getting there. If our plenary meetings end with another failure, the executive committee can find a legal way to do exactly this.
I'm sorry I could not make it to the Austin meeting, sister. But to be honest, I'm happy to get out of here for a while. I could not say no to Aunt Joan, who's paying for my way to go see her. There's just so many question marks now. With the death of Uncle Richard.
Uncle Richard, what an enigma.
Do you think he left us anything? Mom has been selling off all our bonds, and we have no income. It's like we have a sink's worth of water, and it's just running out.
I'm so glad you're going to see Aunt Joanne. I'm so embarrassed that I have to ask Mr. Williams for the money to that important convention, but I will have to do that.
Adina, if Mr. Williams cares enough to give you or loan you money, if I were you, I would.
I'm not going to do that. Of course, we have an issue now. Oh, Henry's bill, oh my, the black sheep of the family is now out to break us.
Adina, what are we going to do? I just hope we don't return from Houston to Austin to find us all evicted from our home.
It was upon the long barrack, not the chapel, on that fateful foggy dawn of the 6th of March, 1836, where one heard the constant crack of the rifle, the hiss of the bullets coming fierce and fast. It was here where the heroes died and piled the enemy before them in heaps. It was here on the long barrack that the crimson tide of our brave heroes trickled down and formed puddles shoe deep on these sacred stones. But it's not merely the strength of these stones that makes this wall so precious. It was this blood, ladies, that anointed forever the fortress that makes this wall so precious.
Madam Chairman, may I interrupt here?
Oh, yes, you may. The speaker has overextended her time.
There is simply no evidence that this ungainly pile of mortar and pseudo brick played an important role in the Battle of the Alamo. It is ungainly and needs to be torn down.
Ladies, how can I be such ingrates? It was thanks to Miss Driscoll's contribution that we're even here. She is the savior of the Alamo. We should follow her lead.
Our San Antonio de Zavala chapter formed 2 years before the startup of the DRT. We raised $10,000 for the preservation of the entire San Antonio de Valero mission, now known as the Alamo, the Chapel, and the Long Barrack. Yes, Ms. Driscoll deserves much credit, but we have contributed a good amount of money. We were also the ones who first administered the site. But we are no longer administering the Alamo thanks to a court order and a conspiracy of the Executive Council.
ladies, it is best at this point that we... Okay, I must say something before y'all accuse one of my friends and a wonderful Texas patriotic woman as a thief. Considering how Clara Driscoll wants to tear down the Long Barracks, how can we in San Antonio not be so sure that she would destroy the old relics? They bear the traces of old age, which she seems to find so objectionable. We did not steal the relics. They are now returned and are in perfect order and condition. We tried to hide the relics from the destructive vandalism of the Executive Council.
Excuse me. I am not destructive. I am here looking for
you
what is
actually
best
are.
in this situation.
Except you're not. It doesn't make you sense. It doesn't make you sense. Come on, ladies. That is not the matter of you. Nothing matters. This is how absurd.
Just look what y'all done. Y'all killed the first lady.
Quick, call a doctor.
You do realize, sister, that what I am trying to protect was a former convent, not known as a long barrack.
Adina, you're becoming very entangled with the ways of the world. The church has long relinquished the chapel and the convent. They've since been stained by the wars men never stopped fighting. I can no longer encourage you to risk your name and possibly even your life. Didn't an elderly woman almost die amongst the fighting? And you're developing a police record? Adina, it's time for you to disenthrall yourself from this situation and come with us.
No, we do need to be quick. I do have a train to catch this afternoon.
Alright, well, I have to tell you the doleful news. The First Lady of Texas, Mrs. Jones, she's not recovering. We need to pray for her. And not only are the Days of Zavala chapter thieves and robbing the Alamo, they might as well commit an act of murder as far as I'm concerned. But on a happier note, the Executive Council has decided on going with your plan and engaging with Mr. Snyder's company and destroying the Long Barrack.
This is wonderful news. Thank you, Cornelia.
This letter sent out to all the DRT chapters of Texas is so deeply insulting. The nerve that they have to ask for pledges to support Driscoll's park plans to destroy the Long Barracks? This is sad.
I know, but what can we do? They didn't decide anything in the plenary meeting, so now the Executive Council has all of the power.
I still think there's something we can do.
Well, maybe there is. You know your cousin Henry? He's helped out in the past, and I have a good relation with him. I think I'm going to pay him a visit.
Oh, it's you. What? Are you here for more money? Haven't you gotten enough already?
Perhaps I have. I have news for you. The will of your brother-in-law, Richard, my half-brother, has shown to me that I am the exact black sheep of the family that I thought I was. No, Agustin, that's not the picture. Lorenzo evidently just didn't want the estate at the Buffalo Bayou to be sold off into little sections. Both you and I have a lot of land coming to us, and the proceeds of this should keep you and your family comfortable for some time to come.
Oh my gosh, this is great news. I have to tell Adina.
Oh, and one more thing. I hear your daughter's been getting into the preservation of the Alamo. You can tell her I'm at her service with that as well.
Thank you so much.
Adina, there's men with long jackets and drills that are about to destroy the Long Barrack.
Oh, no, they won't. Mama, I will leave now. I'll explain later.
Let's go. We gotta get Jenny.
Henry, tell me what I can do, I beg you.
I do not suggest this. You can somehow refrain from arrest if you somehow refrain from listening to the injunction.
What happens if I go inside?
I do not know what will happen, but position is 9 tenths of law. If you must claim rights, it's better to occupy.
Sir, these people have been holding off attempts to demolish the site.
Yes, I'm aware of that, and we're also prepared. We've dealt with the same diehard before. Back me up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you were trying to hold off the demolition of this wall, but you must vacate the area because of a court order that I'm bearing.
I'm the lawyer here. Let me see that.
By the order of the City of San Antonio, you are hereby ordered to vacate this area completely within 5 minutes after the conclusion of the reading of said ordinance. Any form of lingering within 100 yards of the site may constitute grounds for arrest. The City of San Antonio authorizes presiding officers to arrest any guilty party who, through any form of obstruction or non-compliance, resists this order to vacate. Please vacate this area.
Yeah, don't even look back. Space Force.
Wait,
Be off with
no!
you.
No! Adina! My daughter! My daughter, no, you don't have to do this!
won't be much help behind bars.
No, you can come live with me, we have land!
So how long has this Miss Zavala been inside the former warehouse of the smelter?
She's been in there about 12 hours now, but I don't think she'll be much longer.
Why not?
Well, there are rats in there. Electricity's been cut, she's got no food or water. She'll be out soon enough.
Well, why haven't you gone in and get her?
The mayor doesn't want a scene and someone could get hurt just going in there.
Sir, I believe the prisoner is speaking.
Probably wants something.
Hail Texas, fraught with charms unknown, and the creation's pride.
Miss, could you say those lines any louder so
I
I can
see
get them
God's
down?
immensity.
Heaven's sake, why are you copying the ravings of the crazy one?
These are the ravings of a lunatic.
But isn't it true that the woman inside is the granddaughter of Lorenzo de Zavala, the first vice president of Texas, and a prominent member of the San Antonio chapter of the Daughters of the Republic of Texas? What she is saying does not sound like ravings to me. It sounds more like a poem.
Okay, miss, you can come out now. Well, she scurried back, but she gave me this.
They might have the might, of course, but we have the right. And you know what David Crockett said? Be sure you're right, then go right ahead. This whole standoff seems like some kind of replay of our state's traditions.
I knew she was full of prunes. I mean, it's just horrible to think about. I mean, can you imagine ignoring a court injunction and then her staking her life on that ugly Longbear? I mean, Adina de Lawbreaker is what they should call her. She might as well be dead if the wrath have gotten to her. Carrie, I just want to thank you for inviting me to your house during this whole crisis. You've done so much to help Claire and Florence, as well as our new DRT organization, but you have known Adina the longest, so what can we expect from her?
Well, she is going to be dangerous since we want to beautify the land around the Alamo Chapel. She just won't let go of the Long Barrett. She truly believes that people fought and died there. And it is a Spanish convent. She even believes she's on a mission from God.
That just makes me hate it all the more. To think it was a place where women were put in bondage and subjugation to a corrupt Mexican institution? Whew.
She won't last long, though. One of the men in my life, Samuel Colfax, he's spoken to the guard in charge. She has nothing to drink. She won't even last a day.
Oh God, I have nothing to drink and I'm starting to shake for my unworthy dependence on coffee. Oh God in Christ, help me.
I'm certainly flattered that you think Adina would listen to me. And I'll try my best, really. But frankly, she hasn't been listening to me. And due to recent events, it confirms what I fear, that she is fixed with determination. I try to shout to her, and people think I'm crazy. She's going to die in there. There's nothing we can do to stop it.
I know, and what worries me is that ungainly dependence on coffee she has. She's told me that she shakes if she doesn't, drink some. With how cold it was, can you imagine how badly she's shaking?
We can't go near the entrance, right? They won't let me go near the entrance. I can't even say anything to my daughter. So what if we got a pipe? Like you knock it against the entrance, she lets it in, pour coffee, then water. How can they object to something like that?
Oh, good day, officer. Have you heard from Miss Zavala this time?
Why, yes, I've heard her praying for deliverance. She should come out any time now. And remember, you cannot in any way go near the entrance. What are you doing with that, Pop?
You have nothing to worry about, officer. We're not going anywhere near the entrance.
What?
Adina, we're sending you something to drink.
She's probably gone unconscious. I've orders to get the sheriff if that happens.
Has Mrs. Zavala got unconscious?
I believe this is possible, ma'am. The cold, the darkness, the lack of everything, it has probably done her in.
Adina, the first thing we're sending you is coffee.
Now, this is probably against regulation.
But you don't know that for sure, do you? Besides, you're not going to let that patriotic woman die of thirst, are you?
Why, yes. I mean, no. I've orders not to let anyone come up to the entrance.
What is that banner that Mrs. Zavala brought into the entranceway?
I don't know. I'll check it out. Let me see. Here.
Come and take it? Oh, it's a famous Texas banner. It's...
Miss Zavala is playing the old Texian chant of the Revolution. This flag was raised in Gonzales in 1835. She is, in other words, showing the same kind of defiance as if saying, go ahead, kill me, destroy my heritage.
How interesting. So this is like a replay of the Texas Revolution.
I was so shocked to read it when the San Antonio Express had it, but now it's everywhere. I was so excited when the Express finally got that lease for the Associated Wire Press. And they finally included us in. But now all they want to hear about is new heroin that's...
Well, this is ridiculous, alright? The story is already in the Buffalo News, the New York Herald, and the San Francisco Chronicle, among others. Zavala is just turning our state into a laughingstock. They're calling the story the second siege of the Alamo.
Who knew that such a foolish person and story could get into the news?
So are you saying that your niece, Adina, and her daughters, the Republic of Texas chapter in San Antonio, actually have a valid reason for not tearing down the old barrack?
Governor, your predecessor, the Governor Lanham, and the Texas legislature gave the keys of the Alamo to the original DRT chapter in San Antonio, edited by Adina de Zavala. Now, there's been a split in the organization, but the DRT itself has now worked out contractually who is in charge. Adina is still technically a member. The Executive Council and Clara Driscoll have used their influence to bar the San Antonio chapter from administering the grounds. The state needs to intervene to allow time to determine who is in charge and to see who has authority to restore power of the old fort, where many Texans, including Williams Travis, gave their lives. Governor, you're facing potential charges of gross negligence if you fail to act.
Listen, Clara Driscoll is a good woman, and I know her family well. And Henry, I'm just not with your niece on this subject. But Texas should protect its citizens, maintain order, and value its treasured artifacts of the past. Henry, this whole thing is just spread like wildfire. Couldn't you talk to her or do something? There's plenty of states and sites that she could go to. What if we give her a job, something patriotic? She has to have a price. I mean, everybody has a price.
This is what I want you to do, sir. I want you to talk to her, because we will get to the bottom of this. If this is some publicity stunt,
We will know. Because I'm no longer going to allow this event to tarnish my good name.
Her mind is made up. She has no price. Her friends, her mother, me, her uncle, not even a nun from a Catholic church can change her mind. If you want to end this crisis, I suggest you get the Attorney General to sign a restraining order and to stop this demolition. My niece and her welfare on one fight to consider. But think, my niece, who has published an essay on the topic, is correct about the importance of the Alamo. You will want to delay these proceedings. You wouldn't want to go down as the governor in history who gave up 3/4 of the Alamo, do you?
I'm sorry, but this pipe trick of yours is going to have to end. Tell your friend to get out. We're wasting police resources on this stupid caper.
So you're just gonna let a young, patriotic woman of Texas die? You would allow a historic wall of our great republic to fall, where the one and only William Travis lost his life? What are you, an enemy agent?
I have lost enough sleep over your foolish patriotism, and I've had enough of your pipe and your patriotic gawking, which is just another way to evade the law.
Officer, stop. I have a restraining order from the governor.
What is this?
So the rumors are true that Governor Campbell has gotten involved? I mean, it makes sense that he would not want to be known as the governor who surrendered the Alamo.
I just talked to the governor. Here are 2 copies of the order and my card.
Well, I guess someone could tell the young lady that she's attained her end. Hope she's still all right.
Adina, you can come out. Adina, you won.
We won!
Remember
the Alamo! Remember the Alamo!
You did it, Adina!
Oh my God. All right, ladies, let's settle down. First, I would like to welcome back Miss Clara Sevier, who is now living in New York City. And I would like to formally congratulate you on your wedding to Mr. Henry Sevier. He's such a young, noble man, and he's always represented our interests well in the Texas House. I heard your wedding reception in, what was it, St. Patrick's Cathedral? Absolutely beautiful. And I also heard you opened up your lovely house in Long Island to a Texas club. Oh my goodness. You two just make such a lovely, patriotic couple.
Thank you. It's great to be back in Texas and also to report that Texas patriotism is alive and well in America's largest city.
Well, I must catch you up on what's happened. It has taken 2 years, but we've finally gotten rid of that Miss Adina de Zavala from the Daughters of the Republic of Texas.
And the Alamo Mission chapter has now been open to the de jure administrating body of the Alamo. So that now means you can raise that hideous structure and make it to your beautiful park you've always dreamed of.
Thank you so much, ladies, for everything you've done in my absence. I can assure you that my heart and also my pocketbook are always with you.
Cornelia, we should tell Clara what's been going on with the governor, though, right?
Florence, I've been the one working on the project. Thanks. Clara, the governor, is such an admirer of you, and your husband as well. We've been trying to get this project going, but because of how big the project is and how he's running back for election, we have to put it to the side. But the governor is for women's suffrage and for prohibition.
Well, may I remind you, Miss Kemp, that both majority sentiment in both the Daughters of the Confederacy and the Daughters of the Republic of Texas is against women's suffrage. This often puts what is unclean and even disgraceful in the hands of men.
Well, this may be so, but his opponent, Oscar Colquitt, he's from a small town in northeast Texas called Pittsburgh. Well, he is against women's suffrage and prohibition, and I'm not so sure he agrees with our plans for the Alamo.
Oh, you mean little Oscar? My husband knows of him. He won't give us any trouble. You see, his father and my late husband, they both served in the same Confederacy unit. So if he is indeed elected, he won't give us any trouble.
I don't recall that I know him, but I'll send him a letter and with some encouragement inside if he wins.
Oh, one more thing, Oscar. I received a message from Miss Revere. You know the Driscoll-Revere clan in South Texas? They'd like your influence to help build a park on the Alamo grounds.
The fact that this never happened really is my fault. I had a letter getting started, but I never got around to giving it to the governor.
Well, I thought you had given that to me, but you had some question about Miss Driscoll's moral character?
Yes, I may have received something from a Miss Sevier. This family was solidly attached to your candidacy last election, not mine. Although there was a teacher involved with the Alamo. I knew her from Terrell, which is near Dallas. She was a school teacher at the same time I was starting a newspaper there. I can't think of her name right now. She was involved in that Alamo standoff.
I think you're talking about Miss Adina de Zavala. I remember her because I had some unpleasant dealings with her uncle. And you know that her grandfather was the first vice president of Texas? She is very much the activist, but I haven't been a very big fan because of all the ruckus she's caused so far.
Well, Thomas, I'm sure we're going to disagree here as well, but the Alamo is a symbol we need to re-examine. The Mexican Revolution going on right now, in my eyes, is an outrageous sacrilege. Thousands are getting killed. The leaders of the revolution are anti-Christian, and bandits are pouring into South Texas, and only to escape the government actions and rival gangs. I think if we can't get the United States military down to our southern borders, Texas itself should re-engage militarily with Mexico.
Well, Oscar, you're right. Our views do differentiate on this point. Because I have to give you a warning. If you act militarily independent of the United States, things are not going to go well.
Good to see you again, Ms. Zavala. I'm very, very thankful for the support I received from your husbands of the state chapter.
It's a pleasure to see you, Governor Coquit.
I'm sorry, Ms. Zavala, but we're having the state senators squeeze in today, so we're going to have to keep it relatively brief.
We'll be brief. So, Ms. Zavala, why'd you leave Terrell?
I thought that the need for public education on a grand scale was much more pressing than the need to teach in any particular school.
I admire you, Ms. Zavala. I know you cared about the Alamo as a symbol very much as I do. But we reviewed your letter, and we realized you no longer administer the Alamo. What can I do for you?
Governor Coquit, I risk my life not to control the Alamo, but to preserve it. Everyone thinks that the chapel is alone along the Alamo, but it is a far greater structure that historically included the Long Barrack. It is a wall William Travis died defending, and it needs to be preserved.
The purpose of this hearing is to determine for the good of the governor and the people of Texas what should be done with the so-called Long Barrack. We will begin testimony from the state chapter of the Daughters of the Republic of Texas.
Distinguished Governor Cloquet and friends of Alamo, I am shocked to report that the savior of Alamo, Miss Clara Driscoll's savior, is not here yet. Her train was delayed. What I will do is give you a history of the Alamo as told to me by the same remarkable historian, Clara Driscoll Savior. What is known today as the Alamo dates all the way back to 1718, when a Spanish explorer named Martin, and I won't say his last name because I cannot pronounce it, came and set a priest to work on converting Indians to Christianity in present-day San Antonio. Work on the chapel of the mission began in 1744 with the laying of the cornerstone, but the gathering of good stone made the work slow, and it was only finished 14 years later. Thus, the beautiful chapel we now know as the Alamo appeared in 1758. This was until the roof cracked in 1762 and it caved in. Thus, to this day, we have no blueprints for the hideous structure owned by the Snelzer Grocery, and no reason to suspect it was part of the original site.
If you look at the Long Barrack and the quality of the stone, it's very venerable. When do you believe the barrack was built?
Well, I just wish Claire was here. This is ridiculous. We're pretty sure it was built, well, by some sort that was before the smelter.
Well, if the state chapter has no more useful information.
Oh, there's stay near the Alamo just in time. Look, I don't know what's been said, but I have something very important to show all of you. You see here how the Long Barrack suffocates the lovely chapel? Do you see how the Long Barrack appears differently in style from the chapel? Yes, there was a convent in San Antonio, but it would not have been such an ugly structure placed so close to the chapel. Yes, there was a barricade near the chapel, but it was a mere matter of improvisation. This is, by contrast, an ungainly brick monster that appeared after the Battle of the Alamo, during the days when San Antonio still had much to fear from a Mexican counterattack, which happened, and from deprivations from the Comanche.
Do you have any other evidence you wish to present, Ms. Sevier?
I would like to say one thing. Texas needs its Alamo. If Schmelzer had sold his building to the amusement syndicate, the crumbling chapel would have become another appendage to a new commercial monstrosity that would have replaced the hideous Schmelzer building. I laid a $75,000 check on the table and swallowed a $7,500 option fee to save the integrity of the Alamo Chapel. I am appalled that the same women who were so happy to receive my help in 1905 have since become insensitive to my dream to beautify this hallowed place. I am appalled with the ideas that I am hearing, that everything from the old Spanish period must be preserved. I am appalled that when our true goal to properly memorialize the brave heroes of the Texas Revolution is so brutally thrust aside.
Okay, thank you so very much, Ms. Sevier, for coming here all the way from New York City. And indeed, all you ladies from the state DRT. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, let's go to the original chapter of the San Antonio DRT.
Governor Colquitt and esteemed participants of this hearing, I would like to present to the Governor and the Secretary copies of a letter in the State Archive by Engineer Green B. Jameson to Samuel Houston, Commander of the Texas Armies, on the 18th of January, 1826, a good month before the famous siege of the Alamo. This letter provides a plat of the fort used by the defenders that has the same exact 3-to-1 rectangular proportions of the long barrack. Jameson also discusses the placement of an 18-pound cannon on these walls. These walls, like the current ones of the long barrack, were obviously well built to hold a cannon at the top.
Do we have any evidence, Ms. Zavala, that this was a former convent?
Yes, Governor. I have an ancient letter provided me through the Catholic Diocese of San Antonio by one Father Juan Morphy. He writes about the 2-story limestone walls. This precisely describes the long barrack, the first 2 stories of which are much better made. A 3rd story to the long barrack was added later at some point, probably to stop the Comanche.
No. We know that San Antonio was an absolute wreck after the Spanish period. And we also know that the infighting between the Mexican Revolution decimated the town. There was a terrible flood in 1819, and they were robbed by the Comanche. I refuse to believe any documents written by the Catholic Church that purport to say that they were left to be crumbled or is left to be washed away before 1836. What I demand to know is that who is going to give the eyewitness account that saying that the fort was actually held by William Travis and its Texas heroes back for 1836.
Thank you, Mrs. Stone. We are now anticipating a witness I would now like to introduce. I would like to call to the podium one J.W. Darlington, perhaps the oldest. He is 93 years old, so let's show him our appreciation and our best efforts at patience.
In 1842, I was a young man in San Antonio. It was 6 years after Santa Anna had besieged the city. The long barrack and the chapel were both there. They were surrounded by verdant cottonwood trees which stood as their only sentinels. Inside, the walls of these buildings, they were all black. And I was told it was because of the black soot of the Texas soldiers that had been burned by the Mexican army because the wood was not charred. The long barrack was used in the battle. And this is where the Mexicans breached the walls.
Thank you so much, Mr. Darlington, for making the effort to be with us today. How fascinating to have you. I wish we had more to develop a transcript, though.
Well, you know, one of the interesting things about living back then is we didn't have any medical doctors. And when I was little, I had a strange disease that caused me to have to eat dirt 3 times a day. It's a good thing my little brother told me that.
I want to start off by saying I want to particularly thank you for all being here. Particularly Adina Zavala for the bright light of quality research you've applied to the subject. And, I know we all have our preferences. And much about the Alamo remains a dark mystery. How did Davy Crockett die? How many soldiers were there exactly in the fort? How many were foreigners? Though we still grapple still in the darkness. One person has elucidated much for me, and this is Adina de Zavala. I want to thank you for your letters and for finding Mr. Darlington, who we ascertained before the meeting is the long-term resident Ms. Adina de Zavala claims him to be. I would also like to thank the State DRT for the photograph and for the remarkable amount of work they have done in preserving a larger Alamo complex. Ms. Avery, I was not around in 1905, but I thank you for the gracious act and your patriotic intentions.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Thank you all for being here.
Another terrible article. No wonder Claire was so upset.
It would have helped if she took an earlier train. She was our expert. I knew Colquitt would do us harm. The demon rum pusher is so drunk that he has his state spending over $5,000 on the lawn barrack.
He does have a mind of his own, don't he? What depresses me the most about this whole situation is how that lawbreaker, Adina de Zavala, has gotten her way in things. I mean, she was the most Amazonian woman I have ever had to contend with.
Ladies, I need to tell you something. I'm going to be stepping down. Eleanor Bollinger will be taking my place for the Alamo Mission chapter. I think it's just time to leave permanently.
But why? You've done such a good job at administering the Alamo site.
Well, I don't want to tell you guys, but Claire's just so devastated that she hasn't supported us like she used to. And I'm her friend, so.
But what do you mean? I mean, I thought Claire couldn't make the meetings anymore.
Well, you know Claire. When she wants something, she'll do it long distance.
First, I want to give a toast to our San Antonio chapter that was never dry.
That's why we did all those crazy things, right, Adina?
That's probably the reason the DRT threw us out.
That's true. You know, we should give a lot of credit to Governor Colquitt. He helped us make the chapel part of the fort. And even if we don't get to superintend it, at least we made it one of the most important historical sites in Texas.
Wait, should we really be giving most of the credit to Governor Colquitt, or should we be giving it to my trusty Pipe?
That's true. Your pipe deserves a lot of the credit.
You really should give the credit to God, though. I just look back at this whole episode and call it a miracle. It is a miracle that we still have our home here on 141 Taylor Street. And it is a miracle that the Alamo still includes its venerable fort.
That's certainly the truth, but rather than use this beverage such as this to propose a toast to God, I would like to propose a toast to Adina. But at the very least, remind us how lucky we are to be both a Texan and an American.
Yes, let's all toast to my daughter, who worked to save the Alamo and save our heritage.